Jay here of Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm in my kitchen, but we are live, so get involved in the chat and the comments. Loads of Manchester United news floating around at a minute. So we'll do a bit of a roundup. We'll get all the latest and we'll get you guys involved as well. So if you're not doing so, please hit that like button. And if you've not done so already, give the channel a subscribe. We want to get to 800,000 subscribers and we're almost there. Good to see so many people already in the chat as well. BMW Racing 1974, Patrick Mulford, Matt, Jody Marie, Adam Haser, Akash K. Good to see all you guys. Number 7, one of my favourite numbers. Should we get into it then, right? Should we get into some of the news? Because the news is coming sort of thick and fast in it at the minute. We're sort of waiting for the latest on Bryan Mbeumo, which I'll get to in a minute. Also, Victor Gyokeres, looks like there could be a little bit of movement there. We don't know quite what's going to happen. There was talks of Aston, talks of them maybe going for Benjamin Sesko. So does that mean that Manchester United have got a sort of almost a clear run at Victor Gyokeres? Doesn't seem like there's loads of people being linked with him. So we will get into all that. But like I say, let me know what you think and let me know what your sort of latest sort of insight is. If you've got any news, if you've heard something, then get involved. I always say in transfer window time, let us know if you've heard out. If you've seen, right, Bryan Mbeumo down your local Sainsbury's and you live in Manchester, let me know. The Evening News are running a few stories, right? Now they've done something about Martinez, about Emi Martinez. And this is one of those where they do like an opinion piece that's got a little bit of news in. They love doing this, don't they, the Evening News? It's like, it's not really just a news piece. It's not really an opinion piece on its own. It's a little bit of both. So I'll get into this and let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the Emi Martinez one, because this was sort of first suggested a few weeks ago. And I was a bit like, I did a news and I said, for me, and everyone sort of took this as I want Jordan Pickford. I don't want Jordan Pickford. I was saying someone like Jordan Pickford is probably a bit more like 7 out of 10 reliable, but has those games where he's a little bit erratic now and again. But someone like Martinez is a bit more like that, where he's, 1 minute he's a 9 out of 10, an 8 out of 10. The next minute, I think it was at Stamford Bridge, he was like, I saw the ratings, he was like 1 out of 10. You saw him at Old Trafford, he came out and he smashed Rasmus Højlund, and you're like, that's literally the last thing he should have done. So he's always got one in him. But is he a better goalkeeper than Andre Onana on the whole? Probably. I just don't know if we are going to change goalkeepers, if it's enough of a step up. Are we not just getting rid of one goalkeeper who's erratic for another one who's erratic? Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat. I want to know what you guys think. So the Evening News are doing this story about saying Emi Martinez transfer fixes Man United's 2 main problems, but hands Ruben Amorim a headache, because they're basically saying, look, he can come in. Andre Onana hasn't set the world alight. If Martinez was to come in, Andre Onana has had his problems. Could Martinez come in and fix those problems? Could it be, a much better signing for Manchester United, a much more reliable goalkeeper for Manchester United? When you look at what is going on with Andre Onana, the Evening News have got some statistics: 72 appearances, 25% clean sheets. Now you look at some of his peers: David De Gea 35%, Van der Sar 49%, Kuszczak 50%, Tim Howard 36%, Roy Carroll 52%, Bartes 37%, Schmeichel 45%. Conceded per 90 minutes: Onana 1.4, De Gea 1.1, Van der Sar 0.8, Schmeichel 0.8. The difference between some of those goalkeepers, though, that stat is very misleading, is that those goalkeepers, not all of them, but, well, yeah, actually all of them, played at least some of the Sir Alex Ferguson era. Even David De Gea had a couple of seasons under Sir Alex Ferguson. The likes of Vidic and Rio in front of you is a lot different to what Andre Onana's had to deal with. So it's not quite fair to compare him to some of those goalkeepers. You can look at him now, though. You can look at what he's done this season, and you can have some reservations. There are a lot of issues there. Now, what they've done is the Evening News have gone into his pass stats. So they're saying, okay, let's look at his passing, because we brought in Andre Onana because of his passing. He's attempted just over 1,300 passes, completed 948 of them. Whereas you look at Emiliano Martinez, he's attempted roughly the same, 1,387 compared to 1,306 attempted passes, but his completion is a little bit better. He's completed over 1,000, almost 1,100 passes compared to Andre Onana's 948. Similar stats with short passes. His short passes are much more successful, but then so are Andre Onana's, to be fair to the kid. Medium passes, very, very similar, very successful. Long passes, again, Martinez is better at long passes than Andre Onana. So you can look at the passing and maybe go, look, he's better. He's better there. That could be an improvement. Also, shot stopping. Is that Martinez? I don't know why I would try to do a horrible Italian impression there. Is Martinez a better shot stopper than Andre Onana? Probably. Just about. I mean, if we're going to be if we're going to nitpick or we're going to get into nitty-gritty, would Argentina have won the World Cup with Andre Onana in goal? Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat. Andrew A says, Onana just terrifies everyone. He needs to be gone quickly, but Martinez is expensive, old, and not that much better. I mean, I get that. I get the issue with Martinez. Obviously, I think he's 32, whilst Andre Onana is still in his 20s. I think that there's question marks about whether Andre Onana is actually a Premier League goalkeeper. We know Martinez, he is. He's been in the Premier League for a long time now. So I don't think there's any sort of questions there as to whether he's actually, that Premier League quality. It's just, is he good enough? My only question is he a good enough goalkeeper to change your goalkeeper for? It's a big decision, changing your goalkeeper. There's still some people who say we shouldn't have got rid of David De Gea. I actually think it was right for David De Gea to move on. I'm just not completely sure we made the right decision in bringing in Andre Onana. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Hit that like button. James says we should sign whoever has the longest arms. Rather go for Matt Sells instead, says Rahil Amin. Brown Knight says my nan is a better shot stopper than Onana, and she's been dead for 5 years. Whispering Eye says, any news on 115 FC? No, what's going on there with the Manchester City charges? Great question. Why are we still not hearing anything? Brian Casey says, age of a keeper wouldn't worry me. We signed Van der Sar at 36/37. I thought it was 35. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong there, but he was in his mid-30s either way. BMW Racing says, I just don't see the point in buying Martinez and having to change him again next couple of years. Akash K says, I like Emi Martinez generally. Also got to love his personality a bit too. That's a good point, that, because Martinez can be a little bit, bit of a lunatic. I mean, so can Andre Onana, but he's definitely got confidence, Andy Martinez. And I think at times Andre Onana looks like his confidence is taking a bit of a battering. And I think sometimes that sort of zaniness can be a bit of a mask when it comes to Onana. I think there's a difference between the two goalkeepers in terms of the personality. Martinez, I think, he has that swagger, that confidence. Don't get me wrong, he still makes mistakes. We saw it at Old Trafford. Sometimes with Onana, I think he looks like he's a little bit nervy. Let me know what you think. I said it before the sort of the season ended. I said, unless he has an absolute stinker in the Europa League final, I don't think the manager is looking to get rid of him or will get rid of him. Now, he didn't have a stinker in the Europa League final, but there was a lot of people questioning whether he could have done better for the goal. And I don't know. Sometimes little things like that might even sway a manager. Ruben Amorim, he's bringing all these players in. I'm going to get to the transfers in a sec, so I don't want to get too sort of caught up on the whole Emi Martinez thing. But you look at what Ruben Amorim's trying to do. He's going, right, let's get Cunha in. It's a done deal. Let's get Bryan Mbeumo in. That's that could be the next deal in. All right, then I want to bring in another striker, possibly Victor Gyokeres. There's rumors that that's gonna happen. Are you gonna do all those moves? You're gonna make all those transfers if you're not 100% confident in your goalkeeper? Because it's no good if you're scoring goals and everyone's, we're much better attacking wise, if you're still conceding silly goals from your goalkeeper. And also, if you do want to play out from the back, which is what it seems that Ruben Amorim wants to do, I think all managers want to do that now, and your goalkeeper isn't able to do that, then, how's that going to work? Let me know what you think. It doesn't seem like Andre Onana has many supporters in the Manchester United fan base. And when I say that, I mean many people who actually think he's the right guy. Rahil said then no trust between, I've lost the comment, but it's basically no trust between the goalkeeper and the back line. It's a great point that you see it so much where the defense and the goalkeeper just don't seem to have a relationship, and there certainly doesn't seem to be that confidence. It happened with De Gea, and when that happens, when your defense don't trust your goalkeeper, defenders start worrying, they start making mistakes, they start sitting too deep because they're not confident enough in the goalkeeper. It's a rocky road to go down. Mathematic, I like that. Says Jay doing the Lord's work, bringing us the news as always. Praise the Paddock. Thank you. Appreciate the kind words that people say when we're jumping on lives and all that stuff, because we do try to keep you guys updated. I enjoy doing it. I'm not like it's a task, but I appreciate the kind words. Akash K says reliability can make or break a goalkeeper. Should we talk about Bryan Mbeumo? I have said his name a million different ways, haven't I? Mbeumo. That's how you said his name. Bryan, there was a story, right? It was a bit of a weird one on Friday because we had some updates saying that basically United had done a second bid. I think Ben Jacobs ran that at one point, one or two others. And then I think it was James Ducker, said United haven't ran a second bid. And then the likes of Ben Jacobs, who we've had on the channel, we had him on last week, said actually a bit of clarification. There hasn't been that second bid yet. It's not happened. United are still waiting to do that. It's going to happen very soon. Now, there's a story yesterday in the Mirror. Darren Lewis, who I love Darren Lewis, a top guy, does a lot of good stuff, says Thomas Frank has told Spurs he wants them to rival United for 60 million Bryan Mbeumo. Frank is set to be confirmed as Ange Postecoglou's successor next week, and he's keen to take Brentford's in-demand forward with him to North London. And Mbeumo would represent a statement signing for Spurs chairman Daniel Levy, who could trump United's bid with Champions League football. Although United remain favourites for the 25-year-old signature, Mbeumo now has a decision as to whether to follow his head or his heart. Now, his heart, it seems, is set on Manchester United. That story has been sort of running for a little while now. But could that change? Could his opinion be swayed if Thomas Frank goes to Spurs and Thomas Frank says, look, come and join me at Spurs, Champions League football. I've been your manager for the last few years. Me and you work well together. I can get a tune out of you here. It's all gravy. I don't know. It does seem that Bryan Mbeumo is set on Manchester United. He knows we haven't got Champions League football. He knows he can go to another club with Champions League football. Spurs were already linked with him. I think Newcastle were linked with him as well. They've got Champions League football. So don't think Champions League football matters that much to Bryan Mbeumo when it comes to this transfer. I think he's keen on Manchester United either way. Because it's not like he's only just going to find out we haven't got Champions League football when Thomas Frank goes to Spurs. It's not like Thomas Frank's going to say to him, you know United haven't got Champions League football. And he'll go, what? Shut up. No, seriously, they haven't got Champions League football. We've got it at Spurs, though. Come and play Champions League football with us. All right, yeah, sound, I'll do that. No, he knows all that. He wants to come to Manchester United. Manchester United just need to make this deal happen. Yeah, it's a no-brainer. I get there's limits. There's limits with a transfer fee. There's limits with wages. It's not like we should just go out and just go like we used to do. What do you want? 80 million? Yeah, we'll give it you. Well, how much do you want your wages? 350k a week? Yeah, no worries. We need to have limits. I understand all that. I get all that. I agree with all that. But it's doable. And this is a very, very good footballer. 20 Premier League goals ain't to be sniffed at. If you saw the video me and Joe did the other day, it's one of the rare times where it was me telling Joe a stat that he didn't know when it came to United and the Premier League. We haven't had a 20-goal Premier League player at United who scored 20 Premier League goals at United since Robin van Persie. Now, I know Mbeumo's done it at Brentford, but that puts into context how difficult it is to achieve that. You don't get 20 Premier League goals easily. Even when Rashford got 30 goals for United, he only got 17 in the Premier League. I think Martial's had like 18, 17. Ronnie got 18. Zlatan got 17. And Lukaku, I think, was 18. So we've had players who've got nearly 20, but not 20. So you can't just ignore that. Lee Lally says it's the clubs that need to agree. Akash K says Mbeumo has been consistent for 3 seasons now. He has. 3D Stee 1985 says, but he only had one 20-goal season, but he's been good for the last few years. He has. I've been watching a little bit of him. Not an avid Brentford fan. I'm not going to pretend to you guys. I'll watch him every week. Listen, there's several reasons that I like Bryan Mbeumo. And we'll get into this, right? And by all means, get involved in the chat and the comments and let me know what you think. I want to hear from you guys. One reason I like him is because when I've watched him, he plays well. He's a danger. I said to Joe the other day, he's got that unfazed element. He plays like he's just enjoying himself. Like he shrugs off challenges. He runs with a ball, he scores goals. He'll twist one way or the other. He's quite relaxed. Joe always points out how he does that sort of Mo Salah cross where he just swings his leg through it. Nice sort of attitude and mindset that he's got there. He plays football like he's just enjoying it and he's good at it and he knows he is and he gets on with it. So I like that. I like that about him. The stats. Now, this sounds a little bit too big, but bear with me. He was in my fantasy football team, right? And he just kept getting points. Now, you might go, Jay, you fell off the deep end here. What's fantasy football got to do with real football? Nothing. Well, it kind of does a bit. If you notice you've got a player in your fantasy football team who just keeps getting you points, then he's scoring goals and getting assists. And Bryan Mbeumo was. So you think, all right, he's getting goals and assists. That's good. Also, whenever we played him, he's looked the part, hasn't he? Like, you think, yeah, he's a player there. And I've seen him against good teams as well. He's not just stat padding against dross. He's capable of hurting good teams. When Ivan Toney got suspended, I thought Brentford had struggled. It's Mbeumo who steps up. Let me know what you think. Rahil Amin says, Ahmad better than Visa, so Mbeumo might be better. Look, Mbeumo and Visa got, I think it was like York and Cole numbers last season. Didn't they get like 38 goals or something in the Premier League between them, which is ridiculous. You can't dismiss that. Sorry, you can't. Yeah, I just think that, look, I'm beginning to buy into this. I liked him anyway. I thought he was a good player. I know Ronnie's a huge fan, and I rate Ronnie's opinion as well. So I think there's something in there. I think we should get him. I think we can get him. Yes, we don't want to get our pants pulled down, but I think that United should be able to get that deal over the line. As always, we'll keep you posted. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat and the comments. Make sure as well you are hitting that subscribe button. The Mirror was running this yesterday. Man United are in position to make a move for Victor Gyokeres and could leap ahead of Arsenal. Arsenal have been linked to Tesco. They've been linked quite heavily with him. And that makes me think that there could be something in that. So, sorry, I hope you can still see me because my laptop's just frozen. There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, so there could be something in that in Victor Gyokeres. Now, there might be a little bit of a fly in the ointment where Manchester United have to sell to buy. We might have to, I think I'm glitching here, forgive me. We might have to move on players, but we've got players we can sell. We have got players like Marcus Rashford, like Jadon Sancho, like Anthony. We can sell them. There's even so that we might even be able to get a bit of money from buy-on clauses or sell-on clauses that players we've got, Alvaro and players like that. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think it's doable that Manchester United can get enough money for Victor Gyokeres. But just don't know how quickly that will be. That's the only thing. Gareth Thompson says, do we need to worry about Spurs if Frank goes there, Jay? I spoke about this earlier, bro. I still think he'll want to come to Manchester United. I know he's probably got a good relationship with the manager, but that's not always the be-all and end-all. And he's said, or it's been widely reported that he wants to come to Manchester United. He knows Manchester United don't have Champions League football. Spurs were already linked with him, don't forget. So I don't think it's one of those where you go, well, we weren't got Spurs, but now Spurs are suddenly linked with him because they've got the manager that used to manage him. Now they're going to get him. So I'm still relatively confident we can get Mbeumo. Elvis Fortune says, Jay, if we can't get Gyokeres, what other options do we have? Good point. I was worried about this when it came to Liam Delap. It felt like it was Liam Delap or bust. Did anyone feel like that? We spoke to Mark Critchley on The Athletic. We had him on, I think it was Off the Bar recently. And I said to him, do you know what baffled me and worried me? Is that when we were linked with Liam Delap, I didn't see any other options. I didn't see us being linked with anyone realistically. Like people saying, maybe Jonathan David from Lille, I think he's a free agent. Maybe you could go in for Victor Osimhen, but there wasn't really any concrete stories where you go, actually, United are ready to make a bid or ready to move for that player or have spoken to his agent. It felt like it was Liam Delap or bust. And that worried me a little bit. Number 7 says Jonathan David. David Whitford says, morning, J, mate, or Dave Whitford. Safai Adikade says, why isn't Mbeumo deal? Mbeumo, I will get it right. Deal being completed. We'll have to wait and see. Anamde Andrew says, Real Betis should pay us for Anthony. He played well for them. I think that the issue with Anthony at Real Betis isn't that they don't want him, isn't that he didn't play well. It's the money. Real Betis don't tend to spend lots of money on players. Now, there's talk that Real Betis want to keep Anthony. They want another loan move. I think Manchester United have to cash in on Anthony. We need a fee for Anthony because he's just had an amazing season. He has. Other than the Europa League conference final where he didn't really turn up, he has smashed it for Real Betis. Goals, assists, player of the match awards. He's done a lot, right? Get him sold. This is the time to sell him. He's been linked potentially with a move to Leverkusen. Obviously, Erik ten Hag, their manager, who knows him well. That could work. We'll have to wait and see. But I just feel like if we got another loan deal where United pay a quarter of his wages or something, that'd just be ridiculous. We need to move him on. Tiger UK with a good question. How much do you think we'll get for Garnacho? I think you can get 50 million for Garnacho plus another 10 million in add-ons. Genuinely. I think you get 50 million and you go, look, if he plays 100 games or 200 games for you, if he gets to 50 goals for you, whatever the add-ons may be, if he wins a trophy with you, if he gets your Champions League football, depending on what club he goes to, well, he's going to be a club that wants Champions League football, then you have to pay another 10 million. I think 60 million all in. Now, you might go, Jay, we ain't getting 60 million for Alejandro Garnacho. He's not good enough or whatever. He's still a very talented young man. He's still had, 21 goal involvements this season? I think that's the most or the second most for a player of his age. I'd have that 50 million in add-ons. And listen, with add-ons, the good thing about them is it keeps everyone happy because it's like the buying club will go, well, if he doesn't achieve what we want him to achieve, then we don't have to pay these add-ons, but we want him to achieve them because that means he's been a successful signing. And Manchester United can go, look, we've got money in the bank already, 50 million for him. And if he achieves what you think he's going to, we'll get a bit more. And also, it looks like a good deal for both parties, doesn't it? Let me know what you think. Someone saying Stephen Alston's expectations for Garnacho Wild. You don't know, man. Like, look, do you know what it depends on as well? You just need that one club. Sometimes you have that one club that goes, we want him. We've got dough. We want him. I tell you, whoever sold, I forget, when Mikhail Mudryk went to Chelsea was so lucky because you had Arsenal and Chelsea willing to pay silly money for him. But sometimes you'll have like one club who's like, right, he's the guy. We want him. Maybe Napoli. Napoli bought Scott McTominay, and he's basically given the keys to the city. They love him. He's in contention. He's on the list, isn't he? I don't think he's in contention to win it, but he's on like some short list for the Ballon d'Or. There's talk of him. And you know what? I'm not laughing because I don't like Scott McTominay. I'm chuffed to bits for him, but it is a strange situation, isn't it? That someone has gone from being pretty much surplus to requirements at Manchester United. I know he was getting minutes, but it felt like he wasn't always going to be a first teamer, to being in contention with a Ballon d'Or and winning a Scudetto at Napoli, and basically being up there in terms of reverence with those fans with the likes of Maradona. I'm not saying that Scott McTominay is as good as Maradona before everyone starts trolling me. Theo Turgoose says, Inter Milan, I'll like Garnacho out. Yeah, maybe there's something there. I think you look at Italy, you look at Serie A, that is Italy. You look at La Liga. Players have left Manchester United and done well there. Anthony went to La Liga, did very well. Scott McTominay went to Serie A, did very well. We've seen it with other players in the past. We've seen it with players like Ashley Young, Chris Smalling, Romelu Lukaku. So it can happen where a player who probably isn't quite doing what you want him to do in the Premier League can go abroad and smash it. And also, Garnacho's got time on his side. He's 20 years old. He could go to another Premier League club and do very, very well. He might do well in a couple of seasons. You might see the best from Garnacho when he's 23, 24, which isn't beyond the realms of possibility. Look, what was Jesse Lingard doing when he was 20? I think he was on loan at Brighton, wasn't he? And this wasn't when Brighton were in the Premier League. Well, I think it was Brighton. I might be wrong about that one, but he was on. He had a few loan spells. By the time he's 23, he comes back to United. By the time he's 25, he's helping us win FA Cups and scoring in finals for fun. So don't count Garnacho out. I think he needs to leave Old Trafford. I think he will. But there's a player there, and I think that Manchester United can get decent money for him. Wasim Afsal says, if we don't get Gyokeres, I'd be looking at Marcus Thuram, especially within them interested in Højlund. Yeah, there was talk one there. There's been links. I think the Mirror might have had it again, the Evening News. Links with Rasmus Højlund going to Inter. Let me know what you think. Do you think Rasmus Højlund should go to Inter? I've said this all along, and I'll say it again. If we don't bring in another striker, I don't think Rasmus Højlund will go anywhere. And I think it's risky as well to have so let's say, for example, you brought in Victor Gyokeres. Let's just humour me. You bring in Gyokeres, you get rid of Højlund. You've now got Gyokeres and Chido. Is that enough? Maybe Mbeumo can play up there. I don't know. But you have to bring someone in first either way. Even if you go, yeah, that's enough. You don't do it before you've brought in a Gyokeres or a Jonathan David or whoever. Looks like Osimhen isn't coming to Manchester United. I think we can discount that one. Maybe there's something still in one or two of the links. Like Jonathan David, I think that was looking unlikely as well. So, Rahil Aman says Xerxes. Sam Cerner says Xerxes. I think Xerxes is a number 10. I do. I'm not dismissing Joshua Xerxes. I like him, but I don't know if he's a striker. Let me know what you think. Do you think he is? T2 the Izzo says avoid Marcus Thuram. He's about to get in trouble for personal issues. Akash K says I don't want to see Xerxes sold this summer. I'd keep Xerxes. I would. I'd keep him for another season. I'm going to wrap it up there. We're going to be back tomorrow morning outside Old Trafford with the Paper Talk. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you've not done. Also got loads of videos on the channel looking at Mbeumo, looking at Cunha, what he brings, looking at all the other transfer links we've got, what they could bring. Also, there's a great video by Joe looking at Christopher Vidal, who's kind of the main man when it comes to scouting now. Go and check that out. We've got a big interview coming up tomorrow. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but it's a big one. It's one you'll enjoy. Someone who's been on before, but very, very good, very relevant at the minute as well. We want to speak to him, and we're going to speak to him in the morning. So make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. Thanks to everyone. Some really good comments there, by the way. I've enjoyed this chat. I'm Motty. This has been the Paper Talk. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.